Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is white Kobe. I'm gonna say it right now. Justin Herbert is white Kobe. I don't care what anybody says. That was clutch. That was as clutch gets. The Chargers get a big, big, much needed win against a very, very injured Tennessee team, man. Tennessee was falling apart. I don't know if you guys seen how injured they were coming into this game, and then all the injuries that they had in this game, they were falling apart. You got to give them credit. They played like really, really, really way, way, way over expected what they were going to play, man. But you cannot say enough about Justin Herbert. That was clutch. That was clutch. This is that. How much more clutch does it get? The degree of difficulty on that throw. That's not just a regular 10-yard out or whatever. He's throwing that ball 30 yards down the field. That was absolutely ridiculous. Yo, that was that was crazy. This was one of the worst offensive performances as well, too. Joe Lombardi has to take a lot of the blame for this. This was awful. This was a terrible, terrible, terrible offensive performance. How do they do that on a stage like this, a must-win game against a team who is not only banged up, but even before they were banged up, they were bad defensively. I think they're ranked number 26, and I think they're like dead last against the pass. This was a terrible, terrible offensive game plan. But again, Justin Herbert saved the day. Justin Herbert saved the day again. This was crazy. This was a crazy game. I cannot believe how this game turned out. I really, really couldn't. I thought the Chargers were going to lose this game, to be honest with you. Everything was setting up for them to lose this game. The final drive that the Titans had to tie the ball game up, I mean, damn. And then for Mike Vrabel to kick a field goal instead of going for the win, I thought that was significant too. I mean, even if they're playing for overtime, their chances are not great. Like they got to go for two. They got to get out of there with that win. I thought for sure they were going to go for two. They didn't though. But I mean, even if they did, the way that things turned out, it wouldn't have mattered because Herbert was clutch. You can't get more clutch than that. That was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Lexus says, I love my quarterback. 100% agree, man. Where would we be without Justin Herbert? This is interesting. Very, 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 very interesting season. This has been a up and down season, but just like I told everybody, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox a little bit here, but I told a bunch of Charger fans, people were talking about injuries, and I kept using the Mr. Krabs, the SpongeBob meme, Mr. Krabs playing the world's smallest violin. That's what the rest of the NFL thought about our injuries. Play the world's smallest violin for us. Why? Boo hoo, right? But we see now the shoe's on the other foot. All these other teams are really, really starting to stack up the injuries. The Titans have a lot of injuries, including their starting quarterback too. You know, he got carted out in the first quarter. It was amazing he was able to come back, but they have injuries up the wahoo, and they're not the only team. There's a bunch of teams who are, coming into these later games, these last three games that are really banged up. The Patriots are really banged up against the Raiders today. There's a lot of teams that are injured, like badly, severely injured quarterbacks, linemen, receivers. They're down like crucial positions. Again, do I feel sorry for them? No. Nobody felt sorry for us when we were injured, and that's just the way the ball bounces. Nobody cares about your injuries. It's a win-loss league. Either you win or you lose. The Titans were injured. Oh, well. When people look at this 2 and 3 years down the line, it's going to say the Titans lost to the Chargers. It ain't going to say nothing about injuries. It ain't going to say nothing about that. It's W's and L's. That's all that matters. So if you get through your injuries and you're able to, tread water kind of the way that we were able to, then you'll be good on the other side. But if you're not able to, then, the injuries are going to decimate your season. But this is what it is. This is what the NFL is. Nobody feels sorry for you. You get injured, you get over it. And again, if you're able to pull through and bail water, you look good on the other side. And we look good on the other side, even though this wasn't a great game. But this is a Justin Herbert special clutch. Now he's got 13 game-winning or game-tying drives in his career. This one right here was probably the best. It took, 3 throws to make it happen. That was absolutely clutch. When it's winning time, I want the ball in his hands. This is good stuff, man. This is definitely good stuff. This no matter what it is, no matter how I break it down, no matter how I look at the film when it comes out on Tuesday, no matter what I'm looking at offensively, when you see stuff like this gives you confidence in your team. And this is confidence that I shouldn't have in the Chargers, but it gives me so much confidence. When you see Herbert do shit like this, I mean, how can you not feel confident? Basically, what it boils down to, all the Chargers have to do is keep games close. If they can't get blown out, they can't go get down by too many points. If a game is close and it comes down to winning time, if the ball's in Herbert's hands, he's going to get it done. This gives me confidence that I should not have in this team, because offensively, this was the absolute worst game plan I think I've seen all season long. Joe Lombardi still has to go, but he's going to live to coach another week because of Justin Herbert. Like, it doesn't make any, it really doesn't make any sense. I shouldn't have this much confidence, but I do, because these guys are incredible. Justin Herbert is incredible. They got it done when it mattered the most. Let's go. Yes, I was. Man, that throw was something else. And I just tweeted too. Justin Herbert is Kobe-ish. He's Kobe-ish. When it's fourth quarter and it's winning time, it's Kobe-ish. And you see after the throw, after he made the throw, you see the camera showed his face. He's completely subdued. He looked like he just woke up from a nap. Like, he's not jumping around. He's not excited. Everybody else is. He's like, yeah, I just did that. Big deal. Let's move on to the next thing. Like, that dude is something else, man. He's a robot. He's quiet, but he's a killer. He's a killer. You can tell he's got it. He's got it in his genes. He is a killer. I love it. I seen this. What was up with Sebastian Joseph Daniel linebackers? I have no idea. That came after they got a stop too. So I don't know. I don't know what they were arguing about. I thought the defense played pretty well. The worst that they looked was on the Titans' last drive, but I think that was more of a play calling thing than it was the actual defense. Kenneth Murray was making plays. Tranquil was making plays. Guys were making plays. I think they were in the wrong position. So I don't know. I don't know what that argument was about. It looked very spirited though, but I don't know. I couldn't tell. That was just like, I don't know. That was awkward because it came at a time where they got a stop. And at that point, they still only given up 7 points. So I don't know what they were arguing about. They did a good job all game long. So we'll see what that's about. They obviously, I don't think it's something that's gonna continue. They got the win, but I thought that was interesting, especially at the time that it came. Normally you see blowups like that when teams get are giving up a lot of points, or they're giving up this and that, but they had just got to stop, and defense had played well all game long. So I don't know. I really don't know. Had to be hard to keep focused with all those Titan players out there, but the team persevered. Yeah, I mean, they got the win. That's really all. So at this point right now, beggars can't be choosers. And I've said it all year long. It's about wins and losses. And this was a bad offensive game. I don't know what was going on. It was terrible. Now I'm gonna get into the Herbert interceptions too. I don't think Joseph said Herbert played bad today, and he didn't play his best, but the interceptions, both interceptions, I think the one at the end of the first half, I don't think that was as big of a deal. It was a crazy interception. I've never seen an interception like that before. Give credit to the Titans player, but I don't think it was that big of a deal. The first one, the second one was a Herbert thing, but it was a function of the Joe Lombardi offense. Joe Lombardi's offense, it makes Justin Herbert throw these interceptions, right? And I'm not saying that it actually forces him to throw these interceptions, but the way he calls these games and the way that he game plans, right? This was an interception that came in the third quarter. And the reason why it came is because Kevin Byard, the safety, was playing up. How are you playing up so far on a receiver, right? When you're a safety, you are supposed to be deep. You're supposed to be as deep as the deepest guy. But those principles, right? Those are conventional principles when you play the safety position. Pretty much, that's common sense. But when you play this team, when you play the 2022 Chargers, your principles as a safety can kind of go out of the window because nobody is forcing you to get out of what you do, right? You can come up, you can play the run, you can play the short game because the Chargers are not going to throw the ball downfield. They're not going to attack you. The Chargers do not attack downfield, and that's the biggest thing with this. And when you see Herbert, when you see some of these interceptions, I remember he had a really bad interception last season, and I think it was a game at Baltimore. And when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, this is an interception because he cannot go downfield. Not only was it the protection not allowing him to go downfield, but the play calling, the rhythm of the offense is not allowing him to go downfield, because whether or not you complete passes downfield, right? That's not the point of this, right? It's not whether or not you complete passes. It's not if you have 75-yard touchdowns and you let Herbert air it out. That's not the point of it. The point of the whole thing is for safeties, right? Defenses, but safeties in particular, to feel that if they are not deep, right? If they're not in the deepest part of the field, they will be beat and they will give up a touchdown. That is pretty much the whole thing. But when you play this Charger team, you don't have to worry about that. A lot of times you can come up, play as aggressive as you want to. You can take a step forward instead of a step back, right? When you're a safety, you can come forward and not retreat. And you can feel comfortable doing that because you know the Charger offense is not going to call plays that is going to challenge you. And I think that is the biggest issue here. That's the biggest issue with Lombardi. That's the biggest issue with this offense. That's been the biggest issue all season long. Even in these wins, you can see it, right? You can see the Titans defense. They have the worst passing defense. And I made sure to verify this. They are number 32, right? As far as yards go, as far as they've given up 25 touchdowns. I think they're second. They've given up the most passing touchdowns. They give up 285 yards a game passing. This defense has been, the pass defense in particular has been awful all season long. And this was pre all their injuries too. They have been bad all season long. Remember that game in Buffalo? I think it was the second game of the season? Second, possibly was the first, maybe second game of the season, but they went up against the Bills. No, I think it was the second. I think it was week 2. They gave up like 48 points or something like that. Josh Allen was just going down the field on these guys like nothing, just bam, 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 right? Obviously, the Bills have a good offense, but when you look at what they were doing, right, as far as the defensive backfield, giving up a lot of points, they can't play man-to-man, and then even in their zones are leaky. Their linebackers do not cover well in the zone, right? So even you've seen in the first half, Keenan Allen was able to exploit that a couple of times. I think Mike Williams did once or twice as well too. The linebackers can't cover, and the cornerbacks, the DBs, the safeties, they can't go man-to-man. They get beat all the time, right? This is what I seen on tape watching the Titans, and it was really on tape last week against the Jaguars. They could not stay with anybody. Trevor Lawrence was doing whatever he wanted to do. The Jaguars offense got whatever they wanted to get against this defense. Now, fast forward to today. Fast forward to this Charger offense. This Charger offense made this Titans defense look average, and this defense is below average. They are below average. Their linebackers, again, they cannot cover at all. They have trouble covering running backs out of the backfield, and they obviously have trouble covering tight ends. So if you're looking at who could have had a big game, right? If you're looking at a tight end could have had a big game over the middle. That's not what the Chargers do. Obviously, they throw to the running backs a lot, but those are never for like a lot of yards. So, I mean, Eckler, he had a okay game. So did Josh Kelly. But when you're just looking at what can translate over from week to week, the Titans do a lot of bad things defensively. And especially in the defensive backfield, they do a lot of bad things. They show up on tape. They're undisciplined. They get beat in man-to-man zone. If you have decent protection, you can hit these guys over the head for a bunch of yards. And you can get it down to the red zone. Then you can run. You can do your screens. You can do a lot of different things, right? You can hit this defense in a lot of different ways. The Chargers did not do that. They didn't do that because it's not because they can't. It's because of the guy that they have calling plays, and it's because of the predictability of this offense. It's back to stick routes. How many third downs? How many times did we see stick routes on third down? We see them a bunch. This is what they do. This is what the Chargers do, right? And they come out and they act like people have not seen it. This is week 15. We're going into week 16, and guess what they're going to do next week against the Colts? They're going to go with stick routes on third downs. The Colts are going to be able to see that, and if Herbert throws another interception, right, outside of him just completely losing grip on the ball or something like that, it's probably going to be because their defense has seen this on tape. That's probably what is going to be. That's most likely what it's going to be, is because the defense seen it on tape. They're able to jump it. They're able to play as aggressive as they want to play, and they are going to make plays on the ball. They're going to get pass breakups, and they're going to do all of that. They're going to do all of that different stuff. So it really boils down to play calling. It really boils down to how much or little the Chargers and the offense can throw off defenses, right? Which is not a lot. So this comes down to Justin Herbert being perfect. And again, if you keep a game close enough, like the Chargers did today, they didn't play well. Obviously, the guys across from them weren't world beaters. They weren't great. But if you keep a game close and it's time to win, I have confidence in Justin Herbert. I do. I have confidence in Herbert. I have confidence in what he can do down the field, even though the Chargers don't show it. But when you're looking at the, inefficiency of the Chargers offense, look no further than the guy in the booth calling plays. That's who you got to look to. This is on him. The Herbert interceptions on him, right? How many interceptions has Herbert thrown this year? I think that was his 8th. I can think of 4 right off the top of my head that are the function of Joe Lombardi's offense, right? I can probably give credit to Herbert for 4 of those, maybe 4 bad throws, maybe him being a little too greedy, getting a little too aggressive, but 4 of them come just straight out of the function of the offense, right? That's it. That, like, you can chalk it up to that. That's how bad it's been. But it also shows you how great Justin Herbert is, how much of a franchise quarterback this guy is, to completely just ignore that and say, hey, I'm going to put this team on my back and we're going to win. So obviously, man, this was a game that the Chargers had to win. They did. And you got to credit Justin Herbert. You got to credit the defense. But the Chargers, it's very, very clear. They still have a Joe Lombardi problem. This is not going to go away. This is not going to go away until he goes away. So I want everybody to be clear about that. This is not going to go away until he goes away. So, I mean, that's really all you can chalk it up as. Defense played well. The defense played well. You can't take anything away from them. They played well. They did enough. And I said in the video leading up to this game, the Derrick Henry stuff, the yards, it didn't matter. None of that mattered because they don't have anything else to threaten the Chargers with. And I was right about that. It didn't matter. I don't know how many yards he had. I'm sure he went over 100. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter because they still have to convert. They still got to convert on 3rd down. And there's going to be times where they're going to be in 3rd and long. And if they don't convert, then they're going to lose. And that's pretty much what ended up happening. I didn't expect the Chargers to look this bad on offense, though. That's what caught me off guard. So, again, that's a function of the offense. And I really, 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 really feel good about this defense going forward. I think Staley has done a pretty good job these past few weeks defensively. I think he's getting better. Hopefully this continues, but offensively, man, we still got a Joe Lombardi problem. It's obvious. It's clear. We have a Joe Lombardi problem. Frankie Sanchez, thank you for the super sticker. Really appreciate it. You also sent a super chat. Dicker, Staley making me proud. What a turnaround for him. Yeah, I love the linebackers and DT showing passion on the sidelines too. Yes, and that's a good thing. I like that. And I like that they were doing it when they were up too. They were up. They didn't wait until everything got bad to go at each other. Let's continue to be better, right? Yes, we gave up 7 points, whatever. Yes, we got off the field, but we can still be better. I like that. And that's good stuff going forward. Like, anytime you see that, most of the time you see that, it comes from good teams. Good teams do that on the sidelines. You see a lot of players who get into each other's faces because they're challenging each other. That's what it should be. There should always be a healthy competition on the team, not just against, the other team, but it should be a healthy competition on the team, and guys should hold each other accountable. So I don't know who they thought was making mistakes. I don't know where they thought the blame lied, but I do enjoy the passion, and I thought that was a good sign. That was a good sign, especially at that point. They had only given up 7 points. That's it. They had only given up 1 touchdown. So for them to be that locked in, definitely a great sign. Good things to come from this defense. This defense really, really is improving, and hopefully they continue to improve. I really, really hope they continue to improve, because if they're able to do this, they had the performance last week against the Dolphins. We see what the Dolphins did last night against the Bills. They put up points on the Bills in the snow. So this makes the Chargers, performance against them a lot more credible in my eyes, because the Bills, on paper, they have a better defense. They have a more experienced defensive coordinator in Leslie Frazier. We all know that. So it looks good on paper to me. But, I feel it gives maybe he doesn't get more credibility for it, but I think this really does boost the confidence of the Chargers. Defensively, they can match up, right? As far as game plans go, like they can match up against teams. They stopped the run well enough today. And again, it wasn't about the numbers. Derrick Henry could have ran for 200 yards, but if they weren't going to convert in the red zone, if they were going to turn the ball over, none of it was going to matter. All of his rushing yards weren't going to matter. Now, different teams, obviously, you're going to have to face the Colts next week. The Colts are coming off of the worst comeback. They were on the bad end of the biggest comeback ever in NFL history. So I think we're going to get a Colts team that's a little bit checked out. But, the Chargers are going to have to develop this game plan going forward. If Matt Ryan is starting, if he's a starting quarterback next week, then obviously it's going to be a completely different game plan than facing Derrick Henry. So they just have to continue to adapt and adjust. If Staley can do that, he will be fine. And I think his job will be fine. But that was the biggest problem with him, I think, was how does he adjust? You can't just come out and play soft zone against everybody. It doesn't work that way. But I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. Defense is taking some strides. And then, when you're looking around the corner, is Joey Bosa coming back, right? Is he coming back? We don't know. He hasn't practiced yet, but by all indications, he seems that he might be coming back. So we can hope that he will be back soon, and he will give this defense a much needed boost from the pass rush perspective, from a guy being able to close off the edge, right? Being able to hold the edge, set the edge, just the way that Khalil Mack does. So to have both those guys, those bookends there, defensively, it looks good. But I am worried about the offense. I've been worried about the offense all season long, and I still continue to be worried about the offense. Let's see. Ricardo Soda-san says, give credit to Staley with how he used the timeouts at the end to save Herbert enough time to set us up with the field goal. Both, yes, he did. He did a very good job. Staley, that's one of his strong points to me is clock management. He does a pretty good job managing the clock. Nothing that he ever does is really a questioning, but makes you question or makes you scratch your head as far as his game management goes. He's pretty smart when it comes to that. So you do have to give him credit for that. Even if you're not a Staley fan, you got to give him credit for that. He does a good job. He really does a good job managing the clock. And he did a good job today. Saved all of that time. Yeah, the Chargers, what did they have? 50 seconds or 48 seconds, going into it to get into field goal range. So that was obviously a huge component to the win. So you have to credit him, definitely. Weston Werber says we're currently the 6th seed Chargers. Yep, we are. Yeah, because we beat Miami. So, and the Raiders beat the Patriots. I don't know if you guys seen that, but if you've seen how that game ended, man, that's crazy. That game was on crack. If you've seen how the game ended, if you have not seen how the game ended, please go and look it up. Please Google it. I'm sure it's probably on YouTube right now. I would play it here, but the NFL would flag my video just like they did a couple of weeks ago. But they got that game ended crazy. The Patriots were up. Well, no, it was a tie game, and I guess they were just. I guess I assumed that they were playing for overtime, but I guess they wanted to take one last chance on a run play. Ramondre Stevenson, he was streaking for, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 yards. The Raiders defenders ended up catching up to him. He ended up pitching the ball back to Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers ran around and he threw attempted to throw a long lateral pass back to Mac Jones. Like, this is originally you're probably looking at 20, 25 yards from when Ramondre Stevenson lateraled it to when Jacoby Myers threw it back to or tried to throw it back to Mac Jones. Chandler Jones intercepts it, stiff arms Mac Jones to the depths of hell, and the Raiders walk off with a game-winning interception off of a lateral. Like, that was crazy. I don't know if a game has ever ended that way. If you have not looked at the game, look it up. That game was nuts. That was nuts. I just watched the ending right now. I couldn't believe it. That was crazy. If you thought the Charger game was crazy, that was nuts. That was the Raiders, Patriots, the way that ended. That was absolutely nuts. Crazy game. Crazy. let's see. I want to get to some more of these chats here. Plumpkin Horace says, "Yo, my guys, good day to be a Charger fan. 100%. Good day to be a Justin Herbert fan." And we look, everybody who talked everything about Tua and all of this shit about Tua and Emmanuel Acho. Yo, if you guys got Twitter, go talk shit to Emmanuel Acho. Go talk shit to Emmanuel Acho. It would be irresponsible for me to tell you to go and just start cussing him. It would be irresponsible of me to say go do that. But if you do that, I would understand. Because he talked all this shit. They pumped out all of this bullshit, all of this propaganda about Tua and Herbert and Tua and Herbert and all of this and that and blah, blah, blah. At the end of week 15, they have the same records. And the Chargers don't have no damn Jalen Waddle. The Chargers don't have no damn Tyreek Hill. The Chargers don't have anybody like that. The Chargers leading receiver. Who's the leading receiver for the Chargers? I don't even know, to be honest with you right now. I don't know. Maybe is it Josh Palmer? It's got to be Josh Palmer. He's played the most games, right? So I have no idea who the leading receiver for the Chargers. I'm guessing it's probably Josh Palmer. But 8-6. We're here. All of the bullshit, all of the propaganda. Don't let up off the Dolphins fans. The Dolphins fans talked all that shit. They talked Tua this, and I'd rather have Tua. And so if Tua is an MVP candidate, is Justin Herbert an MVP candidate? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. From everything that we have seen, from Herbert, from everything that we have seen of Tua, for both of these guys to have the same record now, right? And Herbert gets talked about all the time. His offensive coordinator consistently gets, drugged through the coals, rightfully so. Tua has one of the smarter, younger offensive coaches in the league, and they still sit with the same record. And the Chargers are going to finish better than if things play out the way that they are. The Chargers will finish better than them because we have a head-to-head win against them. So, I mean, come on, man, come on. I'm not saying I'm not advocating for anybody to go and cuss Emmanuel Acho, but if you did that, I would understand. And I would probably like some of the tweets, because ain't no way that people have pumped all this shit up, have made up all of these different narratives just for Herbert and Tua to have the same record and one team be at the top of the league offensively, one team be near, the middle offensively, right? What is the difference? What is the common denominator and all that stuff? It's the quarterbacks. And I'm just saying, I would not. I wouldn't. I'm not saying to go do it, but I would understand if you did. So I am not going to. I'm not going to advocate for that, but I would understand it. I would definitely understand it. BJ says Victory Monday. It is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Ryan Thomas. Yes, Herbert is a man, but Mike Williams to have those 2 receptions on the final drive for like 40 yards to save that game. Yeah, plus that last catch and the call for the ball like he did. Yeah, Mike Williams, he showed up. He showed up when he needed to. The Chargers didn't use him very well this game at all. I thought he could have really, really made a huge difference. No, why don't the Chargers run? You have Mike Williams, you have Keenan Allen, right? Both of these guys are not the fastest receivers in the league. I don't know why you don't run these guys on crossers. They line up on the opposite field from each other and they go and run individual routes. Why don't they run crossers? Somebody's going to be wide open. Because if you make DBs or safeties choose, they're going to choose one of them. They're going to either choose Allen or they're either going to choose Mike Williams, and the other one is going to be wide open. I don't understand why the Chargers don't do that. Would be a play. If I was offensive coordinator, I would have ran that play 1,000 times already. There would be why don't you run crossers with those? I don't understand. There's no reason why they don't run just simple deep crossers. Simple deep cross, simple. Line both of them up, have them cross. DeAndre Carter flanking right, Josh Palmer flanking left. Have them just run rail route straight up the field and have those 2 guys cross and make the defense pick between one of them. It's so simple. It's so simple and stupid. I don't know why they don't do that, but again, it just makes things harder. But Justin Herbert is taking this to heart. He is I got a shitty offensive coordinator, so let me show what I can do. Let me show everybody what I can do. This is the degree of difficulty that this is. everything that this is ridiculous. This is so hard. When you watch this game with these games, it's so hard. What they're asking him to do is so hard. And he steps up every single week. Bad offensive line, non-existent run game, injuries all around. He steps up every single week, and that they are asking so much of him. This is like, this is so I can't fathom how much the Chargers are asking of him, and for him to show up every week consistently and do it, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. His preparation, his timing, everything is there. He's one of one. He really is one of one. And when you watch, I know a lot of people talk about Josh Allen and all this stuff. When you watch Josh Allen and when you watch Justin Herbert, to me, it's clear that Justin Herbert is much better than Josh Allen. I know Josh Allen does the stuff and he jumps over people and he does all of that cool shit. But when it comes down to playing quarterback, number 10 is got to be at the top. He's got to be at the top of the list. He's got to be up there. Joe Burrow is playing really well now. But I don't know, man. I don't know. To me, it's really not even an argument. Justin Herbert is just so damn good. He's so damn good, and he's so clutch when you need him to be clutch. I don't know, man. It's very, very. It's not even an argument for me, for real. But that's another topic for another day. I appreciate your candor and fairness to keep it 100. Thank you, Teddy. I try. That's what my channel is all about. I've taken shots at the coaches and the coaching staff when I needed to, but if I've said it, and I've said it in many videos, it's a win and loss league. And if you're able to put up these wins, especially against teams who you should be beating, then that's really all that matters. That's really, really all that matters. Yes, it was ugly, but you got to put these wins up. And, wins like this are going to pull the team together even closer. Regardless of Joe Lombardi being a complete idiot up in the booth, this is really, really going to put this team and the chemistry, I think, is going to put it on another level. They're going to go into Indy next week with a lot of confidence. And I think they're going to be able to pull that one out as well, too. So I think this is going to be good for the team going forward. These games really give you calluses. They give you calluses as a team. So if the Chargers do clinch a playoff spot, once they get into the playoffs and they are in a tough spot, they can look back to these type of games and say, hey, we've done this before. Let's just put something together. Let's keep it close. Let's go out there. Let's have Justin Herbert go out there. Let's have him be able to seal this thing up in the fourth quarter, make one drive, make one throw, kick a field goal, whatever. Like there's so many situations that the Chargers have been in that have not been ideal this season. And when you start to add them all up, like the players start gaining confidence, right? They're not going to be shaken by going down by 10 points. They're not going to be shaken by a pick six. They're not going to be shaken by a fumble. Like they're going to be able to go out there and make plays in opportunities that require it, right? So it's, again, the confidence that I have, it doesn't really make sense by the way that the season has went. But when you watch the offense, when you watch what Herbert did this last drive in winning time, legend time, they went out and did it. He went out and did it in 3 throws. And to me, man, I don't know. Like I said, if things are not going well and you see that, you can never, ever shake your confidence can't waver. You can't say, oh, man, we're out of it. Like, unless you go down by 30 or something. But my confidence is growing in this team, and it doesn't make sense why it is, but it is growing in this team. So I can definitely appreciate the way that they have been, building calluses up all season long. I really, really enjoyed it. 40 seconds and Herbert won. Yeah, that's all he needed. That's all the time that he needed. That's it. That's really all he needed. So this again, this grows your confidence as a fan. Whether or not you like who's calling plays, whether or not you like the head coach, when you see that stuff, you can't deny it. You just can't. You can't deny it. You can't deny it. Shout out to Andrew Slaughter. Thank you. I'm going to have a Merry Christmas now. Yes. Me too. Somebody said Joe Lombardi shouldn't even be allowed to coach a flag football game. He really, the fact that he is employed still is ridiculous. And at this point, I think everybody, the writing is on the wall. Joe Lombardi is not going to be back next year. I don't, regardless of what happens, regardless of what goes on, whether the Chargers clinch a playoff spot or not, I don't think you can't bring him back. There's no way you can bring him back. This offense is way too stagnant to really put pressure on anybody. It really is a all hands on deck type of thing. Like when you're playing in the game like this where the offense can't get anything going, the defense has to be superb. Special teams has to be really good. Everybody has to be like almost perfect when the offense cannot score points and when the offense can't even just get a little bit of separation. And I'm not even asking for a blowout, but if the Chargers put up 17 points, right? If they go up 17-7 or something like that, it kind of gives you distance, right? It gives you distance. It gives you a little bit of breathing room. It increases your margin of error a little bit. Just 17-7, 20-7, right? That's all you need to do. You don't have to put up a lot of points, a couple of touchdowns, a couple of field goals. That's really all you have to do. But the Chargers weren't even able to do that. They weren't able to do that. They weren't able to score a touchdown until, what was it, midway in the fourth quarter when they went up 14-7. Then, Tennessee comes back and ties it. And, now you have to go to Herbert for a win. But I mean, even at that point, man, it's just, it's so bad. Like you cannot have this guy come back. You cannot have him come back. You're not asking for a lot, especially in a game like this. You're just asking just for the bare minimum, asking for the offense to just be okay. Just be okay. 2 touchdowns, a couple of field goals. That's all it would have took. This game would have been in hand. If it's 20-7, the Titans are not coming back. Even when they score that late touchdown, they try to go for an onside kick. You get it, and you kneel it. You don't need Herbert to be special or anything like that. But it didn't come down to that. The Chargers needed every single bit of Herbert's greatness to win this game. And these games are the games that should be won in a 20-7 fashion, 17-7 fashion. You shouldn't require greatness to win these games. But I mean, again, like I said on here, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Beggars can't be choosers, but we can't really argue about wins right now. All we got to do is just put them up. And the way that we get them, we can discuss it a little bit, but I'm just happy that we're getting wins. So I'm definitely in a pretty good mood. I'm definitely in a happy mood right now. Pumpkin Horror says, "Don't look now, but we went out and we can beat the 5th seed. Win out and we're for sure. Baltimore isn't playing well and have a chance to lose to Falcons, Steelers, and Bengals to finish the season." If Lamar Jackson isn't back, they're in trouble. They're definitely in big trouble. I think Cincinnati is going to win that division. Cincinnati is playing well. They're the hottest team in the league at this point right now. So they're not giving up that division lead. Lamar Jackson, his knee injury, I think it's all going to depend on whether or not he can come back. If Lamar Jackson is able to come back, and if he's able to come back at a decent enough level, then I maybe they're able to win some of those games. But if he's not back, man, they're in trouble. They are in trouble. Definitely in trouble. Let's see. NFL is lit says, "At least we're learning to win these type of games. We definitely lose these type of games last year." Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. They are getting these calluses. They are getting these battle scars. Like they are developing a way to win. And that's something that I talked about in the live stream that I did after the Monday night game against the Broncos. That was 2 months ago, at least 2 months ago, I believe, right? Excuse me. That was something I talked about. Winning in weird ways. It kind of energizes a team, and that's something that I have seen like ever since I started watching football, religiously about 20 years ago. That's something that I've seen. A lot of teams, like a lot of these teams who are juggernauts and have all of this hype and all of this stuff, like those are not normally the teams that win Super Bowls at the end of the year. It happens sometimes, but the majority of the time, I want to say like 90% of the time, like these teams who sometimes trip over themselves, right? Sometimes they, come out in games in midseason and it looks like they're just pissing all over themselves. Those are the teams that normally end up in the Super Bowl or end up having like pretty good playoff runs, because these like games where you get blown out or where you get exposed or whatever, like it going to battle with the team that you have, right? And being able to get through that, get on the other side of it, put together some good performances, it starts to build your confidence. And then when you have like the NFL season, 17 games, when you're on a decent enough team and you have been at the low, right, in the middle of the season, like you're at your lowest, people are talking about you, your team sucks and all of this stuff. If you're able to pick it back up and then start having confidence, like there's nothing that is going to get you back to that low, like super low point again, right? Because you know that was you're at your worst. And for the Chargers this year, I think it's the injuries, right? Obviously, the injuries was a big thing, but even the bad defensive play, giving up a lot of yards on defense, offense, stagnant, and all of that stuff. That's when the Chargers are at their low, like their lowest. Now that they have come out on the other side of it, they're never going to get back down to that low point. So all it is just going up and up and up from here. So I think it's kind of a weird ebb and flow, like the way that a season can start, the way you can really get down in the middle of it or towards the middle of it, get guys back from injury, or, just have guys turn it around, start playing better, stop making mistakes, stop beating yourselves. And then you start putting stuff together. And then by the time the playoffs gets here, you're in a position that most teams, like most good teams, were in the middle of the season, right? If a team had a long win streak, they're at that place in the middle of the season. A team like the Chargers is in that good place towards the end of the season. So now going into the playoffs and then having a good playoff run. And then sometimes those teams have like Super Bowl berths. That's how you see a lot of like wild card teams, like 6 seed teams get to Super Bowls. You see that a lot. And I think like it's building up these battle scars, being battle tested. It makes a difference in the NFL. To me, it makes a big difference, because all the teams that I've seen, like the real fancy run and gun teams, the ones who win a lot of games, and if you win 13 games, 14 games, whatever, they get a bye, they come out and they lose in the divisional round. And while the wild card team, who has like seemingly struggled all year long, right? Sometimes they pissed on themselves. They're able to come out, they're able to win several games, get to a Super Bowl or whatever. Like, that's just how it is sometimes. And the Bengals were like that last year. The Bengals were in the Super Bowl, right? And nobody expected them to be. That was a shock to everybody. But they kind of started off the year, they were okay. They struggled, though. They struggled during the middle of the season last year. Remember, the Chargers went to Cincinnati, and we beat the brakes off the Bengals last year. I don't know if you guys remember that. We picked off Joe Burrow a couple of times, and the Chargers were able to do whatever they wanted to do offensively. Herbert had a really good game. He was throwing bombs to Mike Williams, Jalen Guyton. We beat the shit out the Bengals last year. You got to remember that. I think we kind of embarrassed them. So sometimes when you see teams like this, sometimes when you see like a Chargers, like we seem like a clown team. But when you have your lows in the middle of the season, right, and you cut it off there and you start to do things better, you start to get players back from injury, you start to play better, then you see a team make a run. Now, I'm not saying the Chargers are going to make the Super Bowl this year. I'm not saying anything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they went on a run, because these games, they build character. No matter what you want to think of it, they do build character. And guys, once you go through a certain amount of games like this, you have that unshakable confidence, not just within yourself, but within each other. It kind of makes for like a weird season. It's an up and down season, but I definitely agree. The Chargers would have lost these games last year. And most of the time they did lose these games last year, but I don't know. I don't know if there's something different. We can't tell. It's too early yet, but I do know that these close games, they do end up turning out really well for teams. And that's just historically how I've seen it. But I agree with that. I definitely agree with it. Super sticker, Andrew Slaughter. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. Blaze 50 says, I love Joseph Day leadership. Yeah, me too. He's a verbal guy, and he's been on the Super Bowl team before, so he knows what it takes. And he's a guy that guys don't mind listening to, right? Because he's been there, he's made plays in the Super Bowl, he's won a championship, he played next to Aaron Donald, so he has some credibility in the locker room, right? He's not just running his mouth, he's not just bumping his gums, as they say. People can look at him and be like, okay, yeah, this guy might know what he's talking about. He was making plays. I watched him make plays in the Super Bowl last year. I watched him hold up the Lombardi Trophy. This guy, he knows what he's talking about, right? And he was obviously, a guy who contributed a lot on that team. He wasn't just in, spot duty or whatever, or a special teams player. Like, he actually made plays. So he's a guy, he has credibility in this locker room. Veteran leadership, it does mean a lot. And when you have a team as talented as the Chargers, right? The veteran leadership in the locker room, it means a lot. It means a lot. And I think this is where you get value out of the New England guys. This is where you get a value out of a Van Noy. This is where you get value out of a Sony Michel, right? Not necessarily so much on the field. They're not going to dominate on the field, but You get value because these guys have been through it, right? They've been through the ringer. They've been through all of Bill Belichick's bullshit. They know what it takes to win, right? And this is where you have these guys. This is where like these signings, these veteran signings, this is where they come into play. And not just on the field, but in this locker room. Like these guys are building confidence. They're building the confidence of the younger guys. And yes, sometimes you got to get in each other's faces. That's what it requires. Football is not a sport where everybody has to talk nice to each other. This is not Twitter, right? This is not, you're not getting suspended or anything like that. No, sometimes you got to get in somebody's face, and light them up. That's what it takes. But again, you're going to turn out way, way, way better on the other side. So I like the leadership going on. I like the intensity. This is a good sign. All this intensity when they gave up 7 points, I love it. I love it. And I'm looking forward to more great defensive performances because this was something that was needed. When another one of these performances was needed. The Chargers couldn't come out and give up 28 points to a shitty Tennessee offense with a bunch of injuries and a bad offensive line. They couldn't do that. So I'm glad that they didn't do that. They really stepped up and they really, really, really did play well. So yeah, big shout out to the defense. They kept the Chargers in the game and Herbert ended up finishing it off. So Herbert and Mike Williams ended up finishing it off. So yeah, team effort to win this game, even though it was ugly, but yeah, definitely am feeling good. LAOG Peyton is our only hope. Glad your channel's blowing up, bro. I was around when you was just getting started. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Yeah, come a long way. Trying to figure out this YouTube stuff, but I'm glad to be here, man. I'm glad. This is my favorite time right here. These post-game live streams, the times where I've done live streams during the game. This is my favorite time. Like, there's a lot of Charger fans out here. People, I hate when I hear the media talk about, oh, the Chargers don't have any fans. Bull. We get on here. I talk to a bunch of Charger fans. My videos get views, a bunch of views from Charger fans. Like this is a whole crock of shit when everybody starts talking about the Chargers don't have any fans. The Chargers don't have any fans. I have a couple of Raider fans who tell me that all the time. Well, you guys don't have any fans. Well, how do we fill up SoFi every Sunday or Thursday or whenever they have a game, right? The Charger fans fill it up all the time. Like I'm sick and tired of hearing this narrative. There's Charger fans around and Charger fans that actually care, not just say that they're Charger fans. There's people who come on here and engage and talk in this discourse. So yes, there's a lot of Charger fans. This is my favorite time to be on YouTube is when I can come on here and talk to you guys, especially after a win like this. Let's see. Nick says Herbert can be great all the time, but a win feels so good. Yes. Excuse me. Yeah, no, he can't be great all the time. And he wasn't great. Excuse me. He wasn't great all night, but a win does feel good. That's really all that matters. All that matters is a win. So they did a really good job. Oh, excuse me. Let's see. And Ricardo says, yeah, on the flip side, the Hot Cardinals lost badly in the playoffs last season. Yes, they did. Was it to the Rams? I think it was to the Rams in the wild card. Yeah, and at one point they were like 10-2. So they peaked early, and then they started getting into their lowest of low was in the playoffs, and that's how it ended for them. And now they're 4-10. So yes, I prefer going through the lows mid-season. I prefer all of that. I prefer all the talk in mid-season because you have a chance to turn it around. You have a chance to start getting back to go, the basics pretty much, right? The fundamentals. Get your good habits going, right? Put a couple of wins together, and all of a sudden, before you know, you're 8-6, and that's where the Chargers are right now. So I love it. I love it. I love going through it like that. Excuse me. I feel good with their chances. A lot of character about to come back with Bosa and DJ. Small chance of Slater. Oh boy, watch out. Oh, thank you. Shout out to my wife for giving me some water. Yes, I agree with this 100%. I think Bosa is going to give us a very, very impactful player. Whether or not like the sacks and all that stuff don't matter because he does everything else so well, right? If he's not able to get sacks, he does everything else so well. He's a great player in the run game. He doesn't get enough credit for that. Him and Khalil Mack both don't get enough credit for that. He is a awesome player in the run game. He's able to hold the edge, right? And set the edge. And that's what the Chargers need. So you're able to funnel everything back in the middle. that makes it so much easier. And especially when you're in the playoffs, right? If you're facing a team like a Buffalo or something, and you can't, if you're letting Josh Allen go outside you or whatever, like you're going to give up big plays. That's where a Joey Bosa pays dividends. That's where Khalil Mack pays dividends. Keeping everything on the inside, right? Not letting big plays get outside of you. That's where Bosa really, really comes in big. So yeah, I'm looking for him to come back. I hope he comes back soon. I don't want him to rush it though. If the Chargers are able to make the playoffs and clinch the playoffs, then I think he'll be ready for that. That will be, in the new year, right? In after the new year. So I think he has some time to get back. I seen there's a small chance of Slater too. I think that would put the Chargers over the edge. If all those guys come back, I think that puts the Chargers over the edge because now you have one of the best left tackles, top 3 left tackle coming back. The run game all of a sudden improves on the left side. You see Matt Filer has not really been playing well, number 71. He has been slacking off for a couple of weeks now. It's been on tape. I was going to cover it this week. I want to see how his play was today. But if there's any issue there, you can move Jamari Sawyer inside at that guard position, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities if Slater is able to come back. I think this offense really, really is able to take it to the next level. And you're able to have more of a consistent offensive line. So pass protection obviously gets better, but the run game also is something too. You can run behind Slater all game long. He's one of the best run blocking tackles in the league. He's very athletic. He's big. He moves people off the ball. I can't wait for that. If he's coming back this year, I absolutely cannot wait for that. Absolutely cannot wait. But yeah, man, it's going to be very, very, very exciting. Let's see. Make the transition. Oh, shout out to Make the Transition. Thank you for the super chat. So, we are, let's see, what does it say? We're 2-0 since I bought my Salute to Service jersey. Hashtag too easy. I know, yeah, wear that thing. I bought me and my wife these jerseys here too, and we're 2-0. We're 2-0 wearing these. We won last week, and we won this week. So you know that we're going to be putting this on next week again too. And if the Chargers win again while we're wearing the jerseys, I'm going to be wearing this thing every time they play. So yes, yeah, we gotta whatever superstition you have, whatever you have that works, it works. So we're 2-0 in these jerseys now. So yes, we can almost assume that they're going to win every time we put these jerseys on. But yeah, that's. I'm excited. I'm excited going forward. Larry Castro, what's up? Pigskin Addicts. What's up, Larry? What's up, man? How you doing? Let's see. NFL is that Tranquil has earned his money. Tranquil has been the most consistent defensive player all season long. I think from week 1 till now, he's been the most consistent. If there was an MVP on defense that we had to give, I'm giving it to him. He's been consistent all season long. He's played tremendous football. And I think this is a contract year for him too, because this is his 4th year. He was a third round pick? I believe it was a 3rd round pick. But yeah, no, they can't. The Chargers cannot allow him to walk. That guy is money. He's money. He's very good. He's athletic. He is a prototypical linebacker for now, like the modern NFL style. He is big enough, to take on some of the offensive line blocks, but he's also fast enough. He's quick enough to cover in the middle of the field. I think he plays some safety at Notre Dame too, so he has pretty good coverage skills as well. That guy's good. He's very good. I want him back. He has been the defensive MVP from week 1 all the way till now. I don't see anybody that has been as consistent as him. He's been consistent on tape week after week, every single game. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. He's coming out. He's making plays. He's a sure tackler, and he's a very good blitzer as well. So he's got 4 sacks as a linebacker. So those are pretty good numbers for a middle linebacker to have. So yes, I want him. I definitely want him back. He's been very good. Is our defense getting better? I think so. Over the past, when you look at the past couple of weeks, the Raider game was, I don't know. Like the Raider game was, there was more good than bad in the Raider game. There was bad coverage, but there was more good than bad on tape as far as defense goes. I think I think they are turning the corner defensively. I don't want to say that too prematurely, but I think they are turning the corner defensively. I really do. They are. Um, they're starting to be in positions that they can make plays in. Right, they're not just in soft zone coverage, and that's what so much of the game plan was for most of the season. Soft zone coverage, but now I'm seeing different run fronts. And I think it's starting to take hold. So I do think that they are getting better defensively. I think Brandon Staley is getting better as a defensive coach. I think he took his lumps, but these past 3 games, 2.5 games, I'm seeing a lot more. I'm seeing a lot more consistent play from the Chargers defense. So yes, I think they are getting better. I think I can say that. I don't want to say that they're like great now, but I think they are. I think they are turning the corner now. I hope so. I hope so. Denver Henderson, veteran leadership, 100% agree. Yeah, the veteran leadership is something that you cannot, you can't take that away. You definitely can't take that away. You have guys who have been there before, so they are able to, if they're able to keep guys from basically getting too high or getting too low, and that's the kind of guys you want on the team. And those guys are worth their weight in gold. That's why I said that's where the New England guys come in. They come in with the locker room presence, not on the field necessarily that much, but the locker room presence. They're able to keep guys grounded in whatever position rooms that they're in. If they're in the linebacker room, Van Noy is a guy keeping guys grounded. Sony Michel is a guy keeping guys grounded in the running back room. Sebastian Joseph Day, defensive line room. So like you have these guys who have been there before. They've been at the pinnacle. They know what it takes, and they can give good advice. They can push guys, and they can really have a big impact off the field, right, with the team camaraderie and all of that stuff. So those guys they're going to play a big role down this stretch, right? 3 more games left. They're going to play a big role, and I think their leadership is going to lead to good things, and I think it's going to lead to this team being ready to play every week because now the pressure's on, right? You got to continue to win, to continue to continue to keep your team in the playoff hunt, right? You got to continue to win these games. You can't have any let ups. You can't have any screw ups. You can't have anything crazy happen, right? You have to continue to win ball games in order to make sure you have a playoff berth. So that's where these guys are going to come in. That's where these guys are going to come in. They're going to be very crucial, when it boils down to a big game or a big situation. Those veterans are going to come in. They're going to come in handy, and I think they're already paying dividends at this point right now. Fehoko is making a big difference with the run stops. Yeah, Fehoko is a good run player. This is the guy. I don't know if you guys remember, but I made that video. It was like middle of the season. The Chargers, they waived Fehoko. He made the team, but the Chargers, they ended up making some moves. I can't remember which ones they were, but they ended up putting him on the practice squad. And I made a video about it, and I thought it was stupid to put this guy on the practice squad, right? Especially when he had so much good tape out last year as a rookie. He had so much good tape out. He was making stops, or was he a rookie last year or second year, whatever? But regardless, right? Young player, right? Young player, but he had good tape out from 2021. Of him stopping the run, right? So if you were any team out there who had any trouble stopping the run, Fehoko was the guy that you're going to call up and you're going to sign him off the practice squad. That's why I said he cannot be on the practice squad. He's got to be on the active roster. The Chargers, I think they brought up Christian Covington, and they waived Fehoko, and then they signed him back to the practice squad. But I was like, what is going? Why is he not on the active roster? He needs to be on the active roster. He is, I think, the most consistent run stopper that the Chargers have. And you can say that over 2 years now because you got to look at his body of work last year. The Chargers were putrid stopping the run, but anytime number 96 was in the game, he was eating up blocks. Now, he is a true zero technique. He is a true nose tackle in a 3-4 because he can eat double teams. He can eat up space. He can eat up a lot of space, and he allows the defensive ends, he allows the linebackers to come down and clean up. That's what he does. Every time I see him on tape, he's always taking on a double team. And he does it very well. He does it very efficiently. And they can't move him. He's just too big. He's too big. They can't move him. He eats up space. He's a space eater. And those guys don't normally get a lot of credit. But I think his play has been so phenomenal that people are saying that, right? A lot of people, even if you don't watch tape, you can watch a game, you can see number 96 is making plays in the backfield. And he did today. And that was very crucial against Derrick Henry today, because as good as Derrick Henry is, he is a guy, once you get in his way and once you impede his progress, once you stop his progress, he's not I don't know, he's not a Christian McCaffrey, right? He can't just bounce it to the outside, right? He's a big guy. He's like 250 pounds. Once you get him stopped, he cannot just go and start again. Like once you get him stopped, he's stopped. He doesn't have the quickness and the shiftiness. He takes a while to get going. So if you're able to get in his face, get around his legs, not allow him to, kind of get the train rolling down the tracks. If you're able to do that, you're gonna have a good day against him. That's why the Chargers had a good day against him. His numbers look okay on paper. His numbers look good on paper, but again, this was a game that you were going to need more. You're going to need more than 100 yards from Derrick Henry to win this. You're going to need more than even 150 yards from him to win this. In order for the Titans to win this game outright, even if the Chargers, were going to play this way offensively, they were going to need a 200-yard game from Henry, and they didn't get it, and that's why they struggled. That's why they struggled offensively. They were able to get that late touchdown and tie it up, but they were not able to consistently put pressure on the Chargers defense all game long, and they needed Henry to do that. They needed him to have a 200-yard, 2-touchdown game in order for them to do that. They didn't do it. That's why I told everybody all week long in the comments, I seen a lot of people who were worried about Derrick Henry, and I wasn't worried, because that's not the type of team that normally gives the Chargers fits. The type of team that gives the Chargers fits are the teams that can break off big runs and then be able to be good on third downs with their quarterbacks. Ryan Tannehill is not good on third downs. He's not good outside of the numbers. And then if you allow Derrick Henry to have 100 yards on 27, 26 carries, that means you're not really giving up any big runs, right? He's getting 5-6 yards here or whatever, but you still have to convert on third down. And that's what the name of the game is. If you don't convert on third downs, then you're not going to win, basically. And that's why I didn't see Ryan Tannehill having a great game. I don't like. There are some quarterbacks who I just don't see. Like I don't see it with Ryan Tannehill. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see. I watch him on tape a bunch. He just does not look. He's not a good player. He's not a good quarterback. I just don't see that with him. I really don't. I really, really don't. Maybe he can have maybe a Geno Smith type of resurgence somewhere else, but he is just not a quarter. He does not put the way that he plays and the way that they call plays for him. He doesn't put pressure on anybody. He don't scare nobody. Like if you're a team having to face the Titans, you should bring everybody up into the box every play and stop Derrick Henry. Like there should be 8 guys in the box every play and go one-on-one with the receivers out there. That for me, that's just what I would do. I'm bringing pressure. I'm hitting Ryan Tannehill. I'm making him throw as much as I possibly can, because I just don't think that he's that good. To me, he's a backup quarterback in this league to me. So it's I don't know, man. It's not that I don't know. I really didn't see it. So outside of Derrick Henry having a 200-yard game, I thought the Chargers were going to win. And I didn't expect our offense to play as bad as they did, but this wasn't a great game. I thought the Titans played as well as they could have, and they still came up short. So if the Chargers were just decent or average offensively, this would have been a much, much different game. It probably would have ended up 24-14 if the Chargers were just average or decent offensively. But the Chargers were far below average offensively, and this was a much closer game. But I don't see it. I don't see it with Tannehill. I don't see it with the Titans. The way that they are currently constructed, they got to blow this team up and they got to start over again, because the way that they win is so hard to do in the NFL now. You can't escape having a good quarterback. You need a good quarterback. Maybe if you don't have a superstar or whatever, but you need a good quarterback. You have to have a quarterback that can convert on third down. You have to have a quarterback who is at least decent enough to throw outside the numbers. If you don't have that, you're not going to win games. I'm sorry. Like, you're just not going to be a team that is going to be great or anybody take you serious. Like I don't take them serious. They are, what are they? They're 7-7, and they still might win the division, but I don't take them serious. I honestly don't take them serious. if they make the playoffs, I hope we play them again. I honestly do. I would love to see Ryan Tannehill in the playoffs because that guy pisses all over himself in the playoffs. He's done it the past 2 years. He did it last year against Cincinnati. And then previously, the year before that, against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, he pissed his pants on national TV in the playoffs on ESPN. 2 years ago it was ESPN. Last year, I think it was CBS. But he's pissing his pants on national TV as the quarterback of the Titans. So I would love to see him in the playoffs again. But if they end up making it, but I would rather see him than Trevor Lawrence. But the Titans are they're not a good team. I just did not see them beating the Chargers, and they almost did, but I don't know, man. It's just something about it that really wasn't threatening to me. They just don't. I don't know. They don't. It's like a little kid walking around with a hammer. Like, yes, they have a hammer, and the hammer is an inherently dangerous weapon. But if a kid is holding it, like, how hard can they swing that hammer at you, right? Maybe they can hit you in the knee or something like that. But how hard can they really hurt you? Can a 3-year-old with a hammer really hurt you? No. And that's what I see. I see the Titans as a 3-year-old with the hammer, right? The hammer being Derrick Henry. But the 3-year-old kid is holding the hammer, and I don't know. It's not. They're not as dangerous as they could be. Could they be dangerous with a very very good quarterback with the Aaron Rodgers or something like this? Oh yeah, 100%. But they're just not a great team, and I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it with Ryan Tannehill. I'm kind of like that with Tua a little bit too. There's quarterbacks in this league where I just don't get it. You hear the hype and you hear, people trying to praise them and trying to be so positive and all of this stuff. But every Sunday they get on the field and they just don't do it. And Tannehill's a guy, he doesn't do it for me. So yeah, I was not impressed with anything that the Titans did. More disappointed with how the Chargers played and how they didn't show up on offense. But the Titans are just a team that is, I don't know, man. I don't know. They're just not a good team, not a great team. You see, the interceptions were Mike Williams' fault. No, I think I've seen a lot of people saying he didn't have the effort and all of this stuff, and I guess that's something you can criticize. But the interceptions are just a Joe Lombardi thing. It really is. It's an offensive philosophy thing. Again, Kevin Byard is playing. Kevin Byard should be on his back foot. He should be in the back pedal when that ball gets thrown, but he wasn't. Because he knows that the Chargers are not going to challenge him. And that's the thing. Like, if you have that same exact play, the Chargers ran, that Herbert threw that second interception on, if that is the Chiefs, that's either a catch or a drop or a catch and a tackle, right? If that is the Bills, that same play is either it's a catch and a tackle or a drop. With the Chargers, it is an interception because there's no vertical threat. There's just no vertical threat. There's no pressure being put on the defense. And that's the biggest thing. If you feel comfortable as a defense, the offense you're playing against is not very good, right? And yes, you can have a good quarterback. Maybe you can have some good receivers. But if you feel comfortable as a defense, the offense that you're playing against is not doing its job. And too many times it looks like bad defenses look comfortable against us. And that means the offense is not doing their job. So that's really, really all I can say for that. They're just not doing their job. They're not doing their job at all. And again, it boils down to Justin Herbert saving us. And I think that's what it is right now. Joseph Domingo says, Arturo Godinez, Joe is stalling this high-speed car. He is a roadblock. I made the video. He's going to be the in-house roadblock for the Chargers getting to the Super Bowl. I made that video at the beginning of the season. A lot of people still watch it. People still comment on it now. It's aging well. It's aging well because I seen it. I seen it last season, and I knew it was going to happen. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. And he cannot maximize a quarterback like Justin Herbert. He cannot. He just can't. You have to be a special offensive mind to really, really, really maximize Justin Herbert to make him look even better than what he is, right? You have to be a great offensive mind to do that. You need and you don't necessarily need like an Andy Reid type of guy, but you need a offensive mind that can really reach down deep and make things easier for Herbert because Herbert's already going to look good on his own, right? He can look good under any offense, but it takes a special creative offensive mind to go down there to make things as easy for Herbert as possible, right? Take pressure off of his shoulders, scheme guys open. That's what it takes. It takes somebody who is going to not rely on Herbert, but is going to be committed to making him better and committed to making his job easier. So you need a offensive mind who is experienced at doing that. And Joe Lombardi is not. He's never made anybody better. He's done the opposite. He's made guys worse. He's made Matt Stafford look worse, and he's made Matt Stafford with Calvin Johnson look worse. You have one of the best, and I tweeted that a couple of weeks ago. It took Calvin Johnson 9 seasons to make the NFL Hall of Fame, right? Guys who make the Hall of Fame normally don't do it that quickly, right? Barry Sanders, I think, is the only guy that did it as quickly as him. I think maybe there's a few other guys, like really old school guys, but in the modern NFL, it only took Calvin Johnson 9 seasons to make the NFL Hall of Fame. He was considerably worse with Joe Lombardi as his offensive coordinator. They had Calvin Johnson. He had Calvin Johnson running stick routes. He had Calvin fucking Johnson running stick routes. We all know, if you're a football fan, you know who Calvin Johnson is. One of the best nicknames of all time. One of the best sports nicknames of all time. Megatron. There's a motherfucker named Megatron out on the football field, and you're making him run stick routes. How? Like, I don't. How? I just don't understand. I really, really don't. You have somebody named Megatron, and he didn't give himself that nickname. Somebody gave him that nickname, and people are like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah, that's definitely his nickname." He's Megatron. You're making him run routes at the sticks. You're making this dude work like so. Yes, Joe Lombardi has a history of making people look worse than what they are. Justin Herbert is overcoming it, right? He was able to overcome it. Matt Stafford, he was not really able to overcome it. Obviously, Calvin Johnson was able to overcome it, but Joe Lombardi has a history of this. He has a history of making people worse. So I don't think people understand quite who he is and how bad he is or how bad he can be. Just when you think things are getting bad, they're not. They're not bad yet. He has a history of making people considerably worse, and this is what he does. This is who Joe Lombardi is as a offensive coordinator, and this is who we have calling plays for Justin Herbert. Everybody can't see it because the Chargers have a winning record. They're 8-6, and Herbert looks like a freaking star because he is. But people need not forget. You need not forget he made Calvin Johnson, NFL Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson, look considerably worse. Considerably worse. So people have to remember that. I think people should always have that in the back of their head. Anytime you see something head scratching or think, why would Lombardi do this? It's because that's who he is. It's the same guy who made Calvin Johnson run stick routes in Detroit. That's the same guy. That's the same exact guy. You go run to you don't go deep. You don't go deep. Even though you can jump the highest, run the fastest, you're 6'5", you run a route at the sticks, and that's what he made Calvin Johnson do. So don't get too, don't look into it too much. That's just who he is. That's his DNA as a play caller. So with that 6 seed, Staley is coach of the year. Yeah. I'm sure he'll get some votes, but I wouldn't agree with it. But I don't think you can give coach of the year to him just based off of the defensive rankings. Now, if the next 3 games, if the Chargers are fantastic defensively and the rankings go up, maybe he'll be in the running for it, but I just don't think you can give it to him just based off of how bad the defense has been, how bad the run defense has been. The yards per carry are still up. It's still very high. I don't think you can give, maybe he might get a few votes, but the consensus is not, going to be Brandon Staley unless the Chargers go on unless they finish the season out super strong. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't see it. I would be shocked if it happened. I'm not saying this is impossible, but I would be shocked. I honestly would be shocked. You're hilarious. No wonder Megatron retired. I mean, they fired Joe Lombardi after like a year and a half. Jim Caldwell fired him. He was like, "No, we can't have this." Matt Stafford had his worst season. Megatron had his worst season, and they had talent. They had talent offensively, and they were trash. They had Matt Stafford I think at that point, what was it? Did they have Reggie Bush? I think they had the Reggie Bush and Joyce Bell combination. They had two good running backs. They were both very good. Um, they had Golden Tate at the time. Tight end, they had Eric Ebron. They had some. They had some weapons offensively. They were. That was a pretty damn good offensive team. Like as far as the offensive weapons go, they had a much better, much better offensive arsenal than the Chargers do now. Much better, much better. And he made that team worse because that team should have been going up and down the field scoring points. They were bad. They were bad. Matt Stafford was bad. They were stifled, and they were a team that should have been. They should have obviously been in the playoffs, but they should have been a team that was like thought of as an explosive down the field team because they had the guys to do it. They had the guys to do it. They had the run game. Their offensive line was pretty decent as well too. But no, they were trash. They were trash. They were trash, and that was Lombardi's doing. They were trash. They were trash. Everybody knew it. Detroit Lions fans knew it. They wrote a whole bunch of think pieces on him. They're still around on Twitter if you search for it. Joe Lombardi, Detroit Lions. All the fans, all of the articles and stuff, like they're still out there. And they're still relevant. And everything that we complain about is what they were complaining about 7 years ago. So that's who he is. He's not going to change. He's never going to change. And again, he there's no way he can come back next year. There's absolutely no way he can come back. Jared Montgomery says, "Who would you rather? Let's see. Who would you rather have as OC? Literally, almost anybody else. I'll take a Frank Reich. I'll take." I don't know who else would be out there. Like maybe a Matt Nagy from Kansas City. I would take a lot of different guys. I would take guys who have actual verifiable resumes as far as being offensive coaches and doing. They don't have to be great, but just doing good things. I think Matt Nagy would be a great candidate for an offensive coordinator because he has done some stuff. He's done stuff with what's the guy's name? Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky, right? We see Mitch Trubisky this year. He's not good. He's not good. He's a backup quarterback in this league. But in his years in Chicago, when he got drafted, I think he was drafted number 2, number 3 overall, whatever it was. He was not good. But Matt Nagy, he took him to the playoffs twice. And Matt Nagy had to everything that happened good offensively for the Bears. Matt Nagy had to scheme it up. Because Trubisky was not able to play in cold weather. He was not able to throw the ball in cold weather. They weren't able to really go down the field and have a vertical offense. They weren't able to do any of that type of stuff because he just wasn't good enough for it. He wasn't good enough for it, and he did not have the attributes for it. But anything that happened good, it was because of Nagy. And that team, they had a good defense. They did have a good defense. Khalil Mack was on that squad. But they were able to do some good things offensively. They were able to make the playoffs twice with Trubisky. That is something that I think should be celebrated because now we see Trubisky. Trubisky can't make the playoffs with anybody else. He's not going to make the playoffs this year. So I don't know. I think Matt Nagy would be a very, very good candidate to me because he's been with Andy Reid for a long time. He understands offense, but he has his own understanding of offense. He's not trying to be Andy Reid. Like the way Joe Lombardi is trying to be Sean Payton. And I think that's what it is. Joe Lombardi is trying to be Sean Payton. Matt Nagy knows that he's not Andy Reid. Matt Nagy has his own identity as a play caller. He has his own identity as an offensive coordinator. So, it's something that I think the Chargers should look at. He's a guy that can really, really do some good things with Herbert, but he's one guy that I can think of right now. I have a list written down somewhere, but I'll get to it soon. They come on here every week. These damn porn sites. Get out of here, man. Damn, they come over here doing that every week. Look, go away. We don't need girlfriends. Yeah, they come over here. They do that every single week. They come over here doing it every week. I hate that. They did it last week too. Damn. Let's see, Ben. So something's been up with your audio lately. I've tried to fix it. Let me know if it's been in and out. I've tried to fix it. My when it was messing up last week, my camera was my camera's audio setting was on the automatic setting, so it was just picking up the camera audio and not the microphone audio. So let me know if it's off a little bit. Let's see. Joseph says, I don't understand why Lombardi was brought in. I feel like Staley with the offensive guru wouldn't have been good enough. Yeah. I heard that he was the third choice that that Staley had. Staley had I can't remember what he wanted two other guys. I can't remember who he wanted. I think one of them became a coach. It's been a long time since I read that article, but Lombardi was the third choice, I believe. So, I mean, he obviously is not anybody's first choice to be offensive coordinator. So I think he was his third choice. And I think they know each other from college. So the nepotism there lives on. So yeah, he wasn't the first choice. So yeah, that's one of the things that people need to understand. Lombardi wasn't anybody's first choice. He definitely wasn't Staley's first choice, but he's the guy that he had. I guess he was the only guy that was available. Honestly, I think so. See, Joe Lombardi played at Army. I bet he coached there too. Says a lot about this coaching philosophy. No, it was at Air Force. He played at Air Force, the Air Force Academy. And yeah, no, that is right, because the academies, the service academies, all their offenses, they always run some type of like running offense because it's easy to learn. They don't have time to like learn complex offenses. They have to practice it. I think they practice at like 5 a.m. or something like that is what I heard. They have to get up and like run to practice, or no, like freshmen run to practice. I think I know in the Air Force Academy, because I was in the Air Force and I heard a lot about the Air Force Academy. It's something that I don't know why anybody would sign up for. Like I have a lot of respect for anybody who would want to like further their career and go to the academies, but I don't know why anybody would want to actually go there, like, or play football there, or do really anything there, like as far as having a college experience. There's no way. Like, you have to get up in the morning. If you're a freshman, you cannot have a car, right? You can't have a car. And I'm just speaking what I know about the Air Force Academy. You can't have a car. You have to run everywhere. You have to run to class. You have to run to any appointments that you might have. If you need a ID or something, you have to run everywhere, right? You have to do all of like these little I don't know if they're called tests or something. There's like some type of assessment that you must constantly do. You have to make sure you know like so much knowledge about the I don't know if it's just about the General Air Force or the academy in specific or something like that. So you have to learn like all of this knowledge pretty much, like, and you have to know so much of it like every week, every month or something like that. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that goes into being in one of the service academies. I have no idea why anybody would want to be there. I know when I was at boot camp, when I was at Air Force boot camp, we had a couple cadets from the Air Force Academy. They were coming over and they were like trying to learn like leadership stuff from some of the drill sergeants. It was a little weird, but some of those people were like, I don't know, they were just different. Like, they're wired differently. They were up at like, they got up before us. I think they got up at like 3 o'clock or something, and they would just like walk around and I don't know, like walk around and have like these weird like stagey conversations with some of the officers and stuff. It was just weird. Like, so I don't know. It was just weird. I don't know what they do. I have no idea why anybody would want to go there. But that's what Joe Lombardi went to school. They always, their football teams, they always run some form of like the option, the veer option. They run all kinds of like bullshit high school plays. Like, you don't learn any passing plays. Like, you're not there to excel at football pretty much. And they don't treat like football very seriously there. So like, if there is a good player that's coming out of the service academies, he has to do his 4-year service obligation before he can play in the NFL or whatever. Like, there's always something going on there. It's weird. And I'm just speaking from experience, being in the Air Force. I never understood why anybody would want to go there, but yeah, it is what it is. Um, let's see. Who said Lynn? Oh, Optimus Rhyme. Lynn as OC. Anthony Lynn as OC? No, hey, nah, no. No. He got fired last year. He was the offensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions last year, and he was not good. He was not good at all. Um, he was absolutely not good at all. He was terrible. Um, yeah, no, he can't be the OC. Plus, he wouldn't want to leave his job now. He has a pretty good job with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. He's the running back coach and the assistant head coach. So he has one of those jobs where he's going to be there as long as he wants. And Kyle Shanahan, his job security is there. The Niners obviously are a really, really good team. So his job security is there. He's not going to be leaving anytime soon. He's going to be there. And I don't think he wants to have another offensive coordinator job, because if he goes and he coordinates the offense that's not good, he's going to get fired again after 1 year, and he's going to find himself jobless. He's got a pretty good job now with Kyle Shanahan, so he can be there as long as Shanahan wants him there. Which he's hired him. The running back group for the Niners is having a pretty good season, so he can take credit for that. So he's going to be there for the considerable future, I think. Especially him being, what is he, like early 50s or whatever. So now, he can really, really be comfortable in his job security. I don't think you want to be moving around from place to place at his age right now. I don't think so, but it is what it is. Staley wanted the Miami Dolphins head coach. Help me with his name. Mike McDaniel. What was it? Was it Mike McDaniel? Was it Mike? It might have been Mike McDaniel. I thought it was I can't remember that dude's name. I can't remember his name. Is he in college right now? I can't. I'm thinking of a face, but I can't think of a name. There was a couple of guys. It was. I cannot think of his name. Oh, damn. It's. I'm drawing a blank. Damn. But Mike McDaniel might have been one of them, but it was somebody else. I cannot think of the dude's name. Oh man. Damn, it's gonna eat me up. I can't think of his name. But yeah, no, he wanted somebody else. He wanted a couple of other guys, and Lombardi was the third option. So this is what's going on here. And knowing that, I think Lombardi won't be back next year. Honestly. I honestly think he won't be back. No matter how the season turns out. I know that the Chargers have had a pretty good season, but I just don't think he'll be back. I honestly don't think he'll be back at all. Let's see, Anthony Lynn is at best a semi-pro head coach. He's not a head coach at all. I think he's best suited where he is now. He's got a pretty good job. He's got a good cushy job now with the Niners. He's the running back coach. Again, he can be there for as long as he wants, right? If he doesn't accept any offensive coordinator jobs, he can be there as long as he wants. He's gonna have a steady income, and the Niners are gonna continue to be good. They're gonna be a good team. They're gonna have a good running back group. And he can lead that. So he's going to have a good job. I think he stays where he's at. Rams OC, who is it? Liam Cohen. I think he's their offensive coordinator. I think he calls plays. What did he call? I think he called plays this year too. I think he would be better than Lombardi. I do, even though the Rams offense hasn't been good this year. But they are struggling with talent, and their salary cap is all in a flux. So Rams OC, yeah. Let's see, yeah, Rams OC, I believe is who Staley won. Howard McVay said no. Was it him? It was him, huh? Liam McConan, or was it? Damn it, was it? No, it was Kevin, right? Kevin O'Connell, right? Damn, I can't remember his name. He just played last week. Wasn't it Kevin O'Connell? I believe. I think it was him. I think that's who Staley wanted, because he was on the Ram staff. I'm pretty sure it was Kevin. I think it was him. I would have to go back and find the article that I wrote. Hopefully it's still around, but I'm pretty sure it was Kevin O'Connell. Damn, I can't remember. I'm thinking of his face. They just played yesterday. Biggest comeback. What am I doing? But yes, I'm pretty sure it was Kevin O'Connell. Pretty sure it was Kevin O'Connell because Cohen is the offensive coordinator now, but he took over for O'Connell. But I'm pretty sure that's him. Pretty sure that's him. Let's see. They went back to keeping Herbert in the pocket. Why not roll him out like in the Miami game? Yeah, you're right about the abandoned run again. Yeah. And that's what Lombardi, he's so inconsistent. He's so inconsistent. You've seen what worked. And there were a lot of throws that were there on the run for Herbert. But he stayed in the pocket and, he got sacked a few times. He didn't get hit as much today as he did in the Miami game, I think. But, I mean, there was no reason for it. There's no rhyme or reason for it. He just didn't do it. Honestly, he just didn't do it. He had to do it from the Raider game to the Dolphin game, but from the Dolphin game to the Titan game, he just didn't do it. There's no rhyme or reason for it. There's no reason for him not doing it. Somebody will ask him about it in the press conference, and he'll be like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. I probably should have done that." He's very he's candid to a fault in some of these press conferences. I don't know if you guys ever seen any of his press conferences. He seems like a big doofus, like in these press conferences. Like he will sit there and he will answer a question, and he will, like, you can see him questioning himself. Like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I probably should have done that. Yeah, I probably should have done it. Yeah, we didn't do it, but yeah, I probably should have. Yeah, that's a good point. Like he really does that. He's done that on several occasions. His press conferences are interesting, very interesting. Let's see, Rams OC. I think I read that one. Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka. Yeah, he's been very good, but I think he's going to be up for a head coaching job. I don't think he's going to accept the coordinator job, unless the Chargers pay him more. But I doubt that happens. But he's going to be up for a head coaching interview. So I think he's in the coaching carousel this time around. Can't hide a big name OC that makes more than Staley. Going to have to be a small guy or no name guy. Yeah, I agree with that. I think this whoever the coordinator is going to be is either going to be a really young guy, a young kind of hotshot type of dude, or a Frank Reich, right? A guy who has got fired, who's trying to get his coaching, career back on track, right? And trying to attach himself to Herbert or whatever. Like, I think it's got to be one or the other. I don't think it's going to be anybody else in between. Either a really young hotshot guy who's has a very good offensive mind, or a coach who's been fired that needs to reestablish himself. I don't think it's going to be anywhere in between. Let's see. Colts put up a lot of points. How will we do in Indianapolis? Rams will be tough with Baker. The Colts game. Colts yesterday I don't think it was less of the Colts and it was more of the Vikings. The Vikings were terrible yesterday in the first half. They were awful. They were a blocked punt, pick six, fumbles, interceptions. I mean, anything that could went bad for them went bad. And the real Indianapolis showed up in the second half yesterday. They scored 3 points in the second half. Those guys are not good. And coming off that loss, a loss like that has to be so deflating. You get up by 33 points in an NFL game, you should win. I don't know how many leads in NFL history have even been by 33 points, let alone by a 4-8 team, right? That was just crazy. It was nuts. It was off the wall. Who has had a 33-point lead in the NFL team? How many franchises have ever had a 33-point lead? I bet you can probably be hard-pressed to find even half of the franchises in the NFL that's ever had a 33-point lead. That's a lot. That's a lot in the NFL. Like, a 33-point lead in the NFL is like a 60-point lead in college. Let's just put it that way, because it's two totally different things. Like, that's like having a 60-point lead in college. That's so rare. And to come back and lose that's like a college team losing a 60-point lead to lose a game. That would be nuts. That's what the Colts did yesterday. So they're going to be deflated, man. Jeff Saturday is I like him, and I've always liked him. I've always been a fan of his. I don't think he's a coach in the NFL. He's just not. Some of the decision making that he displays week in and week out is just it's great. It's just like he seems like he's a player and like, oh, I can coach. Give me the headphone. Give me the headset, and that's what it seems like he's doing. So I think the Chargers are going to be fine in Indy next week. Matt Ryan is awful. He is awful. He's terrible. He leads the league in turnovers, fumbles, interceptions combined. The Chargers should have at least 2 interceptions next week. Matt Ryan is washed. He is washed. This is going to be his. How many games he got left? 3 games. This is going to be his second to last game. Nobody else is going to sign him. He's done. He's got to retire. He looks bad. He looks bad. The Colts are just, they're done. They're cooked. Their goose is cooked, and now they're in a position where it is more advantageous for them to lose than it is to win. So I think, tanking and all of that stuff, if you don't want to call it that, but they're going to lose next week. They're going to lose. The Chargers are going to win this game by hook or crook. The Colts are going to try every way to lose this game because they need a draft pick. They need a quarterback badly. They need to rebuild. They're on the outs now, so they finally just need to rip the Band-Aid off. They never did after Andrew Luck left, but they need to rip the Band-Aid off and restart. And I think they're going to now. They're in a position. They got an interim head coach who was sitting on his couch a few weeks ago. They know it. The owner knows it. So they're going to rebuild. They have to. They have to. Titans pass defense has been atrocious all year, but yet Lombardi, somehow made them look elite. Yeah, this shitty playing will have us out first round unless Herbert plays hero ball. Yeah, and that's pretty much where we're at. That's what I expect. That's what I expect. Yeah, they have been bad all season long, and then they've had so many injuries too. They had 2 of their DBs go down. Their starting safety went down, I think. Their starting cornerback went down as well too. So they had backups in there too. They not all-time bad this season, but with backups too. Backups. Some of these guys didn't even make initial rosters in the NFL. So some of these guys are off of practice squads. Just bad. Yeah, and Lombardi did not take advantage of it with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So yes, it is. It's a bad sign. It's a bad sign going forward. I think they're going to be fine in the regular season, but yeah, playoffs is a different story. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, as of right now, I think they'll be fine. But yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. Not every game is a beauty. No one remembers when we win and go to the playoffs. Right? I agree. But but the Chargers have to have better. They have to have better habits. They got to develop better habits if they expect to win any playoff games, because you're going to be on the road in the playoffs. You got to be better. Got to be better. This type of performance on the road in the playoffs is going to lose you a game. You can't do this on the road. You just can't. In the playoff atmosphere where the microscope is on you, you can't do it. You absolutely cannot do it. Cannot happen. But they have to work on developing better habits these next 3 weeks. And, hopefully they pick them up, because I do think the Chargers are capable of winning playoff games. I think they're capable of it. When you have a quarterback like Herbert, anything is possible. So they got to develop better habits, though, better team habits, and, be able to be more imposing, impose your will a little more. That's something they should work on these next 3 weeks. Is it bad that I'm nervous about the Colts? Chargers gave me PTSD with that Texans game last season. No, but I don't think this is a different area now. I think, again, the Colts, they need draft picks, and they need the highest draft pick they can get. That loss, giving up a 33-point loss, is deflating. If you can get up 33 points and you can't win that game, that's not good for your team. I think the Colts are going to be flat, to be honest with you. I think they're going to be flat. I think does Matt Ryan even play? Do they bench him? Do they go to the backup quarterback? I think that's a possibility. Maybe we can see that. Again, they scored 3 points in the second half all game yesterday. So it's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from the Colts. I don't expect any good things out of them. I think they're kind of checked out a little bit now. Let's see. What do you think is our toughest game to finish the season? I feel Broncos, but without Russ, it should not be close, and that D will get us ready for the playoffs. Yeah, I think the Broncos game will probably be the toughest, just because of the defense. I don't think that the Colts game is going to be all that tough. They turn the ball over a lot. I don't think the Rams game is going to be that tough either, because the Rams have a horrendous, atrocious offensive line. Their offensive line is absolutely terrible. Defensively, they're okay. they're okay up front defensively, but their offensive line, offensively, I don't they shouldn't be able to get anything going against the Chargers defense. They should the Chargers defense should be able to shut anything that they do down. They don't run the ball well either, and I think that's one of the keys that a lot of teams when they play the Chargers, they go in. We're gonna have a run game, right? Whether or not they stick to it, they do pick up good yards from the ground. The Rams they've struggled this year because they haven't been able to run the ball. So I think that's going to be something that is going to come up when they play the Chargers. They haven't ran the ball well at all, really against bad defenses too. So and if Baker Mayfield is playing quarterback, I don't know. I don't know what you can expect with the Rams. They just Cooper Kupp won't be playing. They don't have really any explosion on offense. So I don't think that'll be too bad of a game. I think the Broncos, obviously with their defense, they're depending on what happens. If the Chargers haven't clinched a spot yet, then they would love to play spoiler. But even that, maybe they're checked out too. Maybe they are just ready to go on vacation. Maybe they're I don't know, ready to put an end to a shady season. I don't know. I have no idea. But I would guess if I had to look on paper, I would say the Broncos just because their defense is good. But if their defense does play well, yeah, that could be a very, very good opportunity for the Chargers to try to get right against a good defense before the playoffs. I would love that. I would love for them to get right against a good defense. Let's see. I agree. A win is a win, but you have to execute consistently. Yes, you must execute. Got to execute. Develop better habits as well too. My fear is the last 3 games of the teams with nothing to play for, therefore playing more risky football. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. The Chargers should be fine. They should be fine because they should go into these games trying to develop good habits. They should try to develop the run game. If they're able to develop the run game over the next 3 weeks, I think they're going to be fine in the playoffs. They got to try to develop the run game and stop stop the run game on defense. They're able to do those 2 things. I think they're going to be okay. I think that should be the focus. Run the ball, stop the run, because that's what you're going to have to do in the playoffs in order to win. Teams are going to run the ball on you, and that's the Chargers' Achilles heel. So if they stop the run it a little bit themselves, I think they're going to be okay. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how those teams play it. If they are not, if those teams are not up for it, then we're not going to get good games. But I hope that they are, because I want the Chargers to be battle tested. I want them to be ready going into the playoffs if they're going to clinch a playoff spot. So I hope that they play them well. It makes me excited. Our D put out 2 good games in a row. They're peaking at the right time, and our stars coming back. Yeah, we should shut down the remaining offenses and be ready for Bengals and Chiefs. I hope so. I really hope so. I hope so. That would be the most ideal situation for the Chargers right now. But only time will tell. Really, only time will tell. Let's see. The crazy thing is that we beat the 2 teams no one thought we would beat a few weeks ago. Yeah, now Miami and Titans are W. We should cruise into playoff mode. We should, but the NFL is a crazy place. NFL's a crazy place. You never know what's going to happen. Things can happen from week to week, and it's crazy. It's a crazy. This is why it's the number one rated watched program in the United States. Right? You never know what's going to happen. This is high drama. So we'll see what happens. But I've been on here for about an hour, 45 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off now. I will see you guys later. I'll see you guys this week. Be making videos. We'll be covering this game, and then we'll be getting into the Indianapolis game as well too. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to all you guys. I really appreciate all of the engagement, the comments, the views. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And be signing off now. So I will see you guys next time. Be on here next week after the Monday night game, right? So yeah, be looking forward to that. And I'll be dropping videos all week long. So you'll see a lot of me. But thank you guys so much. Appreciate the support. And see you later.